Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Derek Lewis to defeat Sergey Spivak, and then had a few months to mull it over and decided with an even stronger conviction that Derek Lewis would defeat Sergey Spivak. What do you want from me? You're sitting there like, I'd like my money back. Is that possible? No, it's not, because I don't have any money to pay you. I lost it all on Derek Lewis. Look, I was doing actually pretty well betting wise, but my primary bet, my heaviest bet was Derek Lewis, and I only reinvested as the fights went on because Derek Lewis's money line shot up to plus 230 by the time he fought. So I doubled down and just got this one wrong. Even my hedges were wrong. I did think Spivak would win in rounds 1 and 2. And I thought it would look almost exactly like that, but I thought it would be via TKO, not submission. So, just dog shit predictions by MMA Al Dente here. Although I did say if Spivak was to win via submission, it would be via arm triangle, I believe. But whatever. When you're fucking getting your ass kicked, you got to look for these moral victories, you know? He didn't get finished. No, but Sergey Spivak's got one of the best, if not the best, top games in the UFC, in the heavyweight division, I should say. And that was the difference maker. You know, seeing Derek Lewis getting finished on the ground is something different altogether. You can speculate on it because he is weak on the ground. I mean, I'm the first one to say he's underrated in this respect and that respect. But like I said in the pre-fight video, still, I acknowledge that he's got a weak ground game. That's definitely his weakness, but only one guy's been able to exploit it, and it seems like one of those things that's much more difficult, just like with Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson primarily was weaker on the ground. He had great wrestling to help him not get there, but still, he was a survivor on the ground. The only two guys to submit him were John Jones and Sakuraba, I think, unless I'm forgetting one. But John Jones and Sakuraba are the only two to get him out of there because he just had that survivor knack, like Derek Lewis does. But look, Derek Lewis, he's only getting older, closer to 40. You know, he's only getting slower, less agile, and I do think that was the primary difference between the fights with that Sergey lost via knockout in round 1. Tom Aspinall and Walt Harris, those guys are much more agile athletes, and Derek Lewis is not. He's deceptive in a lot of different ways, but deceptive doesn't cut it. You know, the footwork needs to be there to stop the entries. You know, that's the primary defense for entries, you know, before any of the actual wrestling defense. And Derek Lewis was just too slow, where Sergey Spivak caught him. And then it did look kind of like the way I expected it to look. Takedowns, mat returns, working him over. I just didn't see him getting the submission. But he did get the submission, that arm triangle choke, which now he's got 2 of them over really good top 10 fighters, I believe. So the sky's the limit for Spivak, you know. I do think the next time he loses, it will be via knockout. But the next time he wins, it's probably going to be a mauling on the ground by a fucking polar bear. So hats off to Sergey Spivak, although I'm not going to take my hat off because I'd like to retain my fucking audience. But Derek Lewis, where he goes from here, I don't know. You know, he's still got a lot of fans, a lot of stock in the company or whatever, or they have stock in him, I should say. But, you know, I don't know. His main event days, I think they could be coming to an end pretty soon. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But Derek Lewis, you know, I can't say he disappointed me. I did expect him to have a big grappling disadvantage. But Sergey Spivak, I'll say, really exceeded my expectations. He performed very well and got a flawless victory. I don't remember Lewis even landing anything. So, sky's the limit still. Co-main event, Da Un Jung loses to Devin Clark. This is one where I got this one wrong, but my hedge was right. Devin Clark by decision. I think Devin Clark was really effective at negating and neutralizing the reach advantage. He got inside, like I said. Once he gets inside, then he wins the physicality battle. And that's exactly what we saw. He just muscled Da Un Jung. A great performance from Devin Clark. He's taken out some really good guys throughout his years, but when you lose typically via finish, I think guys that respect you, even like me, can dismiss you in some respects. And I don't want to make it like I totally dismissed him. I thought he would lose, but I did win money on the fight because I picked him to win I bet on him to win by decision. But I thought Daun Jung would have knocked him out. That was my prediction. I thought Daun Jung would have knocked him out just like Alexander Rakic did and Alex Nicholson way back. Just too long a frame and too deadly. And really good inside as well with elbows. But that wasn't the case here. On the inside, Devin Clark just muscled him over and had a great work rate for 15 minutes. So, great win for Devin Clark. Shitty loss for Daun Jung, although it's better than getting knocked out again, I suppose. Especially, as there, you don't want your chin to be a problem. But, man, this was Devin Clark's night. It's fucking awesome to see a guy like that who's been a grinder for many years now in the UFC get a higher profile win. I know it wasn't the most high profile win, but it was a co-main event that was on at 2 a.m. So, whatever. There's that. But great win for Devin. Next up, Tabora takes out Blagoy Ivanov. This was, about what I expected. I thought it would be a really close fight, and I thought Tabora would generally out-hustle Blagoy, and that's pretty much what we saw. Had a nice third round. Tabora really controlled Blagoy. That's where he, put the final nail in the coffin. Not that he got a finish or anything. But Blagoy Ivanov is just tough as all fuck. That guy seems like he's impossible to knock out. Tabora had one moment where it looked like he could have gotten the ball rolling there to get a finish, but I think he knew this guy's too tough. I don't want to get in too close. And Blagoy, made it close. It really was like precisely the fight I expected. These guys have been two top heavyweights for a while, and I just thought this was one where Blagoy's, Tabora's primary weakness, his chin, well, that's off the table in this one because Blagoy Ivanov is more of a grinder, than a finisher. He doesn't exactly have the biggest knockout punch. And that's what we saw here. This was left to the grind, and the guy with the better hustle won. So great win for Tabora. He's got 2 wins now. He's got, I think, 7 in his last 6, 7 in his last 8, 6 in his last 7. Either way, he's on a very nice streak overall, and he's got 2 wins where he out-hustled some really good fighters now, Romanov and Blagoy Ivanov. So he's on a 2-fight winning streak. Next up, Korean Superboy and Kyle Nelson. All right, this whatever. It was legit. It was legit. Like who was it? Michael Bisping was saying, look, you got to take a point. It doesn't matter. You can't. Intention isn't everything, and it isn't. It's like negligent homicide or whatever. It's not everything, intention. It's almost everything, but it's not everything. Sometimes a fighter just gets hurt and you have to make things even by taking a point because it was an illegal strike that compromised them. And that's the case with Doo Ho Choi. Doo Ho Choi did largely get the better of Kyle Nelson, I thought, but Kyle Nelson hung in there. His chin was able to take it, which was not the biggest surprise, but a little surprise to me because I did think Doo Ho Choi was a little underrated coming into this fight, having only lost to really good guys and having taken the first round from every one of them. But Kyle Nelson hung tough, scratched and clawed, had some success with Doo Ho Choi, bullying him around, getting him down. But overall, this was Doo Ho Choi's fight, I thought, and he let it slip away with a foul. So, got the draw. I like to do predictions for draws. I don't do them too much in this videos, but I like to look at a card and say, who's the draw on this card and try to predict that. That's not the one I would have predicted. It's probably the last fight I would have predicted went to a draw. Well, I guess Sergey and Derek. But really, whatever. A good fight. Sucks that neither one got the win. And, whatever. A foul's a foul. Adam Fugitt takes out Kinoshita. I go with whatever my initial pronunciation is. Kinoshita, Tiuliulin, whatever. I'll call them that for the rest of my life. Fugitt really surprised me here. He actually got the ball rolling on the feet and then just took him down and smashed him. This was a great performance from Adam Fugit. He looked like a guy that exposed a youngster here, which he did. That sounds fucking weird. He exposed a youngster. But he did take advantage of inexperience, overwhelmed this guy, and had too strong a ground game. And I'm glad he poured it all out in round one, because I think if he wasn't able to get the finish in round one, he could have run into trouble down the stretch. That was actually my prediction, but my primary bet still hit. It was the under. And even though that was largely a bet on Kinoshita, the hedge on that was that, hey, maybe Adam Fugit wins this one with just being better. The best fighter this guy's fought, and there are levels, and that's what we saw. One of those levels fights. Great win for Fugit. He stepped up against Michael Morales, who's a really tough out, in his first fight, and I'm glad he got rewarded with I can't even call it a favorable matchup. He was one of the biggest underdogs on this card, but a winnable matchup against a youngster, and he proved everybody wrong, including me. Great win for him. Tough loss for Kinoshita, but he's still young enough where he can turn things around, of course. But he's got work to do. Speaking of which, Zubli and Charles Zubli takes out Saragui, Jaka Saragui. That was a close fight on paper, but, not anymore. That's Zubli is a better fighter. Zubli took him out just really on the ground, which really was unexpected. I thought Saragui would be in his face. I thought it would be a close decision where one guy's a little more aggressive. I thought Saragui would win a decision, even though Zubli's got really good, really sharp hooks on the inside. But instead, I saw the exact opposite fight from the one I was expecting, and Zubli worked him over on the ground. Really impressive performance for a guy who, had, height advantage anyway. I think the reach was actually dead even. But still, he said, fuck the stand-up. Took him down and mauled him. That was an excellent victory, and we got another Indian fighter in the UFC. Fucking awesome. Zhang Young Lee takes out Yi Jia via decision. Look, there were no prop bets for this fight until the fight night or whatever, the last 2 days after I made that video. But once the props were released, I hammered Yi Jia by decision at plus 750. If you watch my video, I did pick Zhang Young Park to win. Zhang Young Lee, to win by knockout. But I thought my second pick, just like with Devin Clark, was Yi Jia winning by decision. So I did play that heavily for a prop, a few sprinkles, and got burned. Still, I felt like there was a moral victory there, because that definitely was, worth it for a plus 750 bet. But the decision went to Zhang Young Lee. Lee did kind of outwork him the last 2 rounds, but that's a really close fight. I got to watch it again. Yi Jia was on him like rubber on glue. I don't fucking know. Like horse on shit. No, like a fly on horse shit. That's what it is. And Yi Jia made it a very close fight, but he was just edged by, I think this, physicality really won it for Zhang Young Lee. He's a bigger guy, stronger guy, and he was able to defend well against Yi Jia. But still, in general, he was neutralized, in my opinion, and it was worth a bet at plus 750. Rinya Nakamura did look like Henry Cejudo. Got a knockout in 30 seconds. Not that Cejudo did that too often, but, with the wrestling and the striking, this guy is just, the sky's the limit. I say that for like every fucking victor, but I mean it this time. The sky's the limit. That was an excellent performance. I do think he retired Kazama. I don't know. That was the quote from before the fight, that if I lose, this will be my last one. Well, I don't know if a 30-second knockout is going to make you rethink things, but, hats off if he retired. But Rinya Nakamura is the future. The odds did reflect that, and, if you got him in the round 1 knockout, that was really the only prop that I had, and it came to fruition. Rinya Nakamura, he's got that insane wrestling, national champion, and you'd never know from watching him fight. He fights like fucking Mike Tyson. So, can't wait to see that guy fight again. Really, I can't wait. Of everybody on the card that I'd like to see fight again, he's probably number 1. Oh, Park taking out Choi. That was awesome because Sengook Choi was winning that fight. He was winning that fight, winning the striking battle from the outside. I thought he was doing very well, again, with the first level of takedown defense being his movement. And he was evasive, countering really well, darting in with some quick strikes. Again, he's not the most powerful guy, but he did get kind of a knockdown, I think. Could have been momentum or whatever, but I got to rewatch it. But I remember thinking in the moment, all right, that's a knockdown on at least one judge's card. And he was winning, I thought, winning comfortably. But in the end, Jun Young Park, is it Jun Young Park? Either way, Park worked him over. I thought Park would win. That was my prediction. I thought it would be largely due to his ground game. And I felt like an idiot for a few rounds. But then in round 3, he made it happen. Just an excellent comeback, relentless effort. And Park and Choi, I think, is a really tough guy to put away. You know, again, he's only lost once. It was via decision. And I have a high estimation of his survivability. So this was a great win from Park. Great win. He did what he needed to do and really turned this one around, you know, in addition to winning the road to UFC and whatever the fuck else. He got a beautiful fucking third round comeback, which is my favorite type of fight. So excellent win from Park. Speaking of Park, Jun Young Park takes out Dennis Tiuliulin. This was your conventional striker versus grappler fight, and Jun Young Park was just too strong on top. You know, the grappling was evident. When you see a guy get a takedown and he lands in the full mount, which, you know, that can happen to anybody, I guess. But usually when it happens, it's because there's a big difference in grappling, and it's evident within the first few seconds. And that's what we saw, and he just never let him up. Worked him over on the ground. He had a great heavy mount. Really protected the mount. He was very slow, methodical there, but once he knew he had it, he went for it. Great win for Jun Young Park. That's his second finish on the ground in 2 fights here, and again, he's got some other victories with his wrestling in the UFC. I think this guy is a very versatile fighter. He's up against it physically a lot of times in this division, the middleweight division, but he's a very skilled fighter, and he showed so here. There are levels, and guys like Dennis Tiuliulin, or Tiuliulin, whatever, even though they are excellent fighters in their own rights, they don't belong in there with guys like Park. You know, Park showed that there. And then Tatsuro Taira taking out Jesus Aguilar. That was about how everybody expected it, I think. You know, Jesus has, I think, 5 submission victories via guillotine, 5 out of 6. He's very guillotine happy, and he put Taira in a guillotine right away for 3 minutes. I think it was one of those Armin guillotines that you knew wasn't going to last, but he made it last a long time. And then after that, it was just Taira methodically, even though it was over the course of 1 minute, but methodically working his way to a sub. Just fucking beautiful. He set it up from the full mount, hit the triangle, and then the armbar. And that was awesome. By the way, I wanted to say, Dennis Tiuliulin, he's lost his 3rd fight now via technical submission. That's something I did point out in the pre-fight video, and I believe I said it's a trait of his. So I'm just patting myself on the back by saying, yeah, it's a trait of his, and he showed so here by refusing to tap, and he's got his 3rd submission loss on his record. So kudos to me for pointing out a trait of a fighter. That's what you got to look for when you get your ass kicked betting-wise. All right, that's it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. Check out my other videos, and comment below letting me know how fucking stupid I am for backing Derek Lewis.